let me tell you one thing, okay? So, what is basically microeconomics? But before I start about that, yeah. So this is actually good as well when we have like this some sort of introductions, because I'm gonna give you something. Just one second. Gonna open this in here. This is for the advantage of the not only in here. New students, but for the seniors who are actually not in the freshman year, could have a look and see. And how do we basically tailor this or structures or plan the lecture for the next sessions. So I'm gonna stop this. Yeah, I'm gonna share my Excel spreadsheet. Just one second. So you know, so this is the updated economic session plan. Yeah. Oh yeah, before I forgot, my name is Iksan Mojo. I'm gonna be your lecturer for the upcoming macroeconomic sessions, and I'm the course coordinator basically of the all economic course in BINUS, yeah, GW6, so BINUS International. So this is basically how your course gonna be looking at, and I believe like all of your lectures will have something about like this. Yeah? And the way you look at it is basically you have to study it. Okay, you have to study it first. What's gonna be the mode? Yeah, they basically are three modes over there. So they're gonna be FICON on campus, FICON C, and FICO FC. And then you're gonna have like GSLC, which is basically FIBI and forum. And the way that you look at this, I mean, like, so what you're gonna expect? The next, the first class gonna start next week, yeah, and it's gonna be FICON, and the topic is gonna be limit alternative choice in the market system. It's gonna be slide presentations, and the company and how we're gonna assess you is gonna be mid-exam. But the thing that I want you to put attention is when we come to what we call as the VBL or the GSLC modes of teaching. When you look at this, yeah, always remember that when we have the GSLC, yeah, we're gonna have what we call as a homework in the exercise in the BINUS Maya forum, regardless of the type of the course, yeah, whether is basically economics or I think accounting or any kind of topics that you or subjects that you're gonna learn the coming semesters. You're gonna have what we call as the on VBL or GSLC mode. And always, guys, yeah, when we have the GSLC, it means we also have like the BINUS Maya forum. And I want to know whether you already know, yeah, how to respond and use the BINUS Maya today by now. Anyone? Can anyone tell me about this? Have you become familiar with BINUS Maya platforms? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Yeah. Why I want to emphasize on this, because I mean, like, I teach, this is going to be new things, yeah, not only for you, but also for many of the coming students, yeah, in semester 3, semester 5, or whatever. And from my experience teaching the compact semesters, yeah, the previous compact semesters, many of the students is still not aware of this responsibility. And the involvements or your participations in the BINUS Maya forum is very crucial, because one is gonna serve as your attendance, and second, for me, for this course particularly, in somehow in all my course, yeah, the economic course, the exercise, the answers that you put in the BINUS Maya forum is gonna be part of the assessments or total mark that you contribute towards your end of the course. Really, okay, that's one thing. I'm going to show you something else. Just bear with me. Jadi, for example, yeah, I'm going to open this. I'm going to go back to that spreadsheet later on, but before that, so this is like the course outline. You have to always when you start to ini apa namanya learning about one subject, you have to study the course outline. What's the purpose of the course outline for you? I mean, how are you gonna read this? First, you have to look the learning outcome, and the second one that you have to pay attention really is about this, yeah. How we gonna assess you, the assessment summary. Just one second, I'm gonna make it bigger so you know. So every course will have different assessment methods or assessment summary. But what I can tell you now, this is very much standard in my course, in any of the economic course, yeah, finance is a bit different, that I'm offering, that we are offering, that the component of assessment, first is gonna be standard, mid-exam and final exam, but the other two, as you can see here, is first is gonna be the quiz, which is I'm gonna take 4 times in every semester, and homework. Okay, homework. This component, which is contribute about 15% towards your total final mark. And this homework is basically I will take it from the exercise that you do in the Binus Maya forum. Yeah, so I cannot emphasize it more. How important it is that you actually participate in the Binus Maya forum, as well as answering any exercise or homework that we will put on that platform. Yeah, so that thing is clear. Yeah. The other thing that I want you to pay attention with regards of the updated economic session plan. Okay, look at this. So every GSLC or OL session will have what we so-called as the videos, okay? So you're gonna learn somehow from both internal or external videos. But because of the regulations that the guidelines that we have for each of every lectures, for each, it is strictly decided what's gonna be, I mean, for every sessions, what is gonna be internal or external. Yeah, the internal means we produce it. Like this video is produced by the Binus University faculty member or associate faculty members. But we could also have what we call as the external videos, yes, such as, for example, this is the external video that we have. So the thing that I want you to pay attention here, and usually, I mean, like where there is internal or external, we're gonna give you a link, yeah, to the video that you have to learn during for that sessions. But okay, we realize, yeah, perhaps that when you only look at one video is not gonna be enough, particularly when due to limited shortage of time that we try to produce these videos, perhaps the quality is not that up to that standard that we expect to, as well as perhaps it doesn't cover enough materials that is actually required for that course. Because what the internal video usually limited to 10 minutes, yeah, no more than 10 minutes. So you can imagine, obviously one chapters, particularly big chapters such as the cost of productions is not going to be enough only covered by 7 minutes or 8 minutes video. That is why for every of the economic session plan, I also at the same time, yeah, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to provide you with the list of options of recommended videos, both internally as well as externally. So you can basically shop around and see from that list, from this list of video, which one that you think is appropriate, or you can and give you more complete information. This is the Excel spreadsheet that I'm talking about. Yeah. So it has like the creator, it has the link, it has the topics, and at the same time, I also recommend like some of the external videos. Yeah. And when we recommend one video, external video in here, it has, we've already selected and screen it, yeah, to make sure that it has actually good quality. And basically all of these guys, Robert Hill, Luke Basie, Maria Papaflov, is all economic professors from some other university. So, uh, uh, so you can have a look on their video, and we think that the quality is actually, the quality is up to the standard that we require for this course. Yeah. So again, that's one thing about these blended session model. I hope by now you get like some feel, yeah. It's gonna be quite similar to other course as well, yeah. But even though the topic's gonna be different, but how we gonna deliver it is gonna be the same. Here, any questions about the I'm gonna go back again. Final exam and mid-exam is quite clear, but on the inning, look at this, yeah. We have homework in Maya form usually when we have like this VBL or online videos, but at the same time we also have quiz, yeah. So anything, any week that I noted as a quiz, for example, on the week 4, you're gonna have a quiz. I've already prepared like some questions as well as a platform to do that quiz. Yeah. And most of the time, I'm going to use the Google Form platforms for your quiz. Yeah. So make sure you know how to basically operate and using that Google Form platform when you want to participate in the quiz. And as I mentioned, there will be 4 quiz for the total semester for this course. And it's going to be divided 2 before the mid-exam and 2 as well after the mid-exam. And each contribute about 4% towards your total mark. Okay. Ada pertanyaan? Any questions? No? Okay, good. So clear ya. Jadi jangan ada nanti, because I mean like from previous experience from your India, when I teach compact, many students actually doesn't involve in the BINUS Maya forum, and because we in BINUS we have very strict regulations in terms of the attendance. When you fail to come 5 times, I think, yeah. And that include, you're not allowed to participate in final exam. And that's include the participation in the BINUS Maya forum. Don't come to me late in the semester, say in week 11, week 12, and say you have a problem with the attendance. And when we try to look at that, that's a problem because of you didn't participate in the BINUS Maya forum, yeah. Happens quite a lot to me, particularly when it comes to the compact semesters last year, yeah? And many of the students actually on semester 5 or semester 7. So, and basically they come back to me and say, "Bapak sih nggak kasih tahu saya, you're not telling me about the beginning of the semesters." Okay, I thought you understand. Now, I hope I didn't receive things like that again, and you guys by now already know what to do and how to participate on any course, basically, not only in microeconomics, but also in any other course in BINUS Internationals. Okay, now, any questions? Ada pertanyaan? Okay, kalau nggak ada, kita lanjut. On the microeconomics. So what is economics? What is microeconomics? So microeconomics is basically a social science concerned with making optimal choices. It is about the science of decisions, of the science of making decisions when you have limited options. Why options is limited? Because we have scarce resource. You know? So how are you gonna optimize your decisions when you face the conditions of scarcity? This is basically the things that we face on daily life. In economics, science is basically rational that when we try to and to make sense, yeah, like the not only basically an economic questions, but any type of the problem that you're gonna encounter throughout your life, yeah. For example, when we talking about later on about the utility maximizations, when we're talking about the elasticities, uh, you always have an options, yeah. For example, during this, when you decided finally to take like to attend or to enroll in finance program of Venus universities, right? That's perhaps based on your considerations or your parents' consideration is the best options that you have to, that you take, yeah, at this stage. But obviously, I'm very sure that you before you decide Venus finance programs, you're gonna have a lot of this. You have a decisions to make, yeah? Not only between, for example, domestic, whether to study here in Indonesia or go abroad, whether you have to study in Venus or in other university, whether you want to focus on program or other program in Venus International. So that's basically an options. And and you when you're making these choices, or you basically facing conditions or some limitations. Yeah? Perhaps that limitations come from budget wise. Yeah? You have your parents or you have this certain amount of budget and you have to consider that. And the other limitations perhaps comes from the current conditions, the external factors. Like, for example, we have the pandemic, COVID-19. And as you know, perhaps from the news, that many countries outside has already prevents that Indonesians to go to their country, going abroad. Like example in Malaysia, just heard yesterday that and that's basically going to affect a lot of people. Yeah, people that perhaps students that want to plan to study in Malaysia, they cannot go there and they have to study. They have to reconsider their decisions. Options that you make in everyday life, not only in economic sense, yeah, is the decisions about whether you're gonna come to these first year programs today or not. Yeah, you have other choices. Yeah, perhaps rather than go here, you better go somewhere else, or you go sleeping or whatever, and you go hang out with your friends. Although I've really not recommended you doing that at the moment. But that's basically part of what we call about the optimal choice and the science of economics. So it's about is a science, is a social science that help you making decisions. That's basically my definitions of economics. Not only problems about economics, but other things in life, or in when you happen to be a decision maker, not only for your family, but for your for the company, or the decision maker for a country. That's why a lot of like economists is actually involved in the governments. So policy makers usually come with an economic backgrounds. Because of what? Because economics is basically a tools that give us a way of making decisions by using the perspective of economics. Yeah? Jadi it's many things, and economics is more than that. It's not only about decisions about economics, but economics objects, but it's more than that. It's basically a tool for you to making decisions. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, so the other thing about economics, before we turn to microeconomics, is there are two big objects about these subjects. First is about the markets, and the second is about the ecosystems. So I'm gonna explain about market, yeah, which is one of the very vital objects of the market of the economics. But the ecosystem is basically a networks of organizations or institutions involved in the economic systems. So ecosystem is a system, yeah, jadi is a part of the everyone in the economic system or in the system is basically part of uh, connected, yeah, connected part that make the total. We're talking about the ecosystem of a market is basically talking about consumers. We're talking about the producers. We're talking about the governments, and we're talking about the regulators and everything that is have a stake in that systems. And what is microeconomics then? So we know it's economics. It's a study about markets, and we're talking about the it's tools that can give you to make decisions. But now we turn to microeconomics. What is microeconomics? We have basically micro and macro, yeah. But the microeconomics is basically a branch of economics that study particularly the behavior of individuals and firms in the market. That's going to be our main focus when talking about microeconomics. Whereas macroeconomics, the focus is still the market, but it's not how the individuals or firms. The focus is bigger. The focus is more on the aggregates of individuals and aggregate of the firms and how they behave in one big system of ecosystems of an economics. But in microeconomics, our focus is simple on individuals and firms. So how individuals, firms in the market, right? The last one is very important. So when we learn about microeconomics, first we have to know what is a market, obviously, yeah? Because the market is the place, basically, these individuals and firms making decisions regarding the allocations of the scarce resource and the interactions among these individuals and firms. So there are three components that made up the market: the individuals or the buyers, yeah, we can call it the buyers as well, the firms or the suppliers in the markets, and the interactions between these individuals and firms, or the interactions between buyers and suppliers in this market. Jadi ada tiga komponen yang penting, three very important components: pembeli, buyers, sellers, and interactions. Why the interactions is very important? Because the interactions between buyers and sellers, which make the price in the market. Jadi the interactions between individual firms, as we will see later on the subjects, will result in the price, the making of the price in the market. Price is basically resulting from the interactions of buyers and sellers, and also as signals for the societies. Okay. Now let's look at more deep on the what is markets. So this is a market, guys. Why this is the first one, yeah, on the left. Anyone knows about this? Ini yang namanya, if you ever go to balik Banjarmasin, ya, is Kalimantan. This is what we call as pasar terapung. Right? People doing this buying and selling in the market. So, but the market is actually over the river, so which is very, very special to that region. You can only find it basically in Banjarmasin, Kalimantan. But this is can be said as can be defined as like all the requirements of the markets in this kind of setting are there. There's a buyers, there's a sellers, and there's what we call the market, the platforms, yeah, of the interactions between buyers and sellers are happening. The next ones on the right is the same. Is your normal day-to-day, what we call pasar impres, perhaps in Indonesia. And you can find it. This is actually a picture of pasar majestic. If you ever go there, yeah? Or I don't know, not quite sure where I got this picture. But this is basically a market as well, because there's a buyer and there's a seller shop around, and there's a market of price of interactions between buyers and sellers to obtain price in order to decide what's going to be the amount produced or in this kind of markets. Next one, ini juga, anyone's come from Malang, East Java. This is what we call pasar loak Tomboran. Okay. I used to study my bachelor degree in Malang. Yeah? This pasar loak is also second-hand shop. It is basically very renowned for, particularly for students. A poor student like me used to be. And every end of the, when it nears the middle of the month, I'm gonna sell something over there in order to ini. Tapi nanti saya terus lagi macam-macam. Jadi ini pasar loak, and there's a lot of things happening here. Basically, this is qualified as what we call as the market as well, because there's a buyers, there's a sellers, and there's what we call as the interactions between buyers and sellers. This one is a market as well, the fish market in Japan. Yeah? Very obvious. If you ever come over there, have a look on this. And this is one of the oldest market in the world, the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul. Yeah? It's a very renowned market as well. You have to go here. Sometimes, yeah, not now, because I think there's a pandemic over there. I don't know whether Indonesians are still not allowed to go there, but yeah, is a very old market as well, and it's the same as the happened, I think, from the 16th centuries. They're already opening this Grand Bazaar, and is one of the city icon in Istanbul. Yeah. So it's a market as well. Okay, what about this? Anyone knows this? This is, perhaps everyone ever used what we call as Tokopedia or Shopee. Yeah? That's basically a market as well. Or Tokopedia, Bukalapak, Shopee, or any digital commerce market platform, that's a market, right? Because there is what we call as the buyers and sellers in the digital market e-commerce platforms. And at the same time, there is a place. Yeah, place is not necessarily jadi physical place, guys. Yeah? Market does not necessarily has to be physical. It can be as simple as online platforms like like Tokopedia, like Shopee, or Bukalapak, whatever. Yeah, that can perform an act as a market as well. Jadi sama aja sebenarnya. As long as it can be the place of interactions and finding the right price, then anything we can call it as a market as well. Ya. Ini pasar apa barang, ini pasar narkoba, ini what call as a digital market as well. Okay, so clear, yeah, what's going to be qualified, what can be considered about as a market in any kind of setting. Yeah. Jadi this is what we call this is the e-commerce type. This is what we call as a marketplace. It can be considered as a market as well. Yeah? Beli and sellers, buyers, and as interactions. The part of interactions is very important. If there is no interaction between you and the sellers or between buyers and sellers, then it cannot be considered as market. Very important. Market sometimes does not exist. Okay, the very important thing that we learn from economics, microeconomics, from the public goods externality, some market may not exist. Okay? For example, anyone ever heard about like the market for any? But there's a one try for a very specific type or culture performance. Ya. Kalau buat panggil band misalnya, buat pesta perkawinan, buat ulang tahun, mungkin pasarnya kita tahu ya, marketnya ada. Kita bisa go and shop around and looking for the performers who can do that in some wedding parties when you're a event organizer, yeah. But anyone knows where to get performers for the traditional art of, say, Sunda, okay? Tarian Sunda atau apa, tarian Manado atau apa, okay? You may not know. I mean, like the market may not exist for that. Yeah? You have to go and seek yourself for the offer of vendors, and sometimes, I mean, like this is based on my experience. They can be, things like that are not performed as commercial things, ya. Jadi banyak kayak di Bali itu ya, kalau kamu tahu, kenapa orang Bali itu kalau nari itu bagus segala macam ya. Saya punya banyak sahabat, keluarga, teman di Bali, dan beberapa kali saya pernah menginap di rumah mereka. Memang yang namanya nari itu kayak dari kecil, dan for them ya, that's basically menari itu termasuk bagian daripada ibadah. Jadi kayak sembayangnya mereka orang Bali itu adalah dengan menari. Mohon maaf kalau ada yang perlu dikoreksi ya, tapi itu juga yang menyebabkan kenapa mereka sangat serius, dan ketika perform itu betul-betul sesuatu yang harus perfect, ya kan? When you love the thing that you do, when you do it very seriously, very focused, you're gonna get a very good result, ya kan? Jadi ini yang kemudian saya sambungkan tadi. Why for some cultural performance, art performance is actually not for sale, is not for public, is not really things that you can see perform in any other place, in any place like even like weddings or even like concert music or anything, because it's a part of culture and is embedded as a religious performance or things, anything that is basically it's not for not public. Jadi itu susah cari misalnya performers buat kayak seperti itu. Nah ini market seperti ini nggak ada kan. Ini kemarin memang ada beberapa upaya dari beberapa teman yang pernah saya tahu, jadi anak binus juga. Mereka mau bikin kayak gitu, jadi kayak mau bikin e-commerce platform, but specifically designed for this kind of performance, jadi cultures and art performance. Which is quite an interesting ideas, ya. Tapi, but I think they encounter some kind of problem as well, because one, why the market is not exist at the beginning, at the first time. Kenapa pasar itu nggak ada? Why do you think? Kenapa bisa nggak ada pasar? Platformnya mungkin ada, but I remember the requirement of market, ya kan? The buyers, the sellers, and the place to meet, yeah, not necessarily physical place. We may create the physical place or some place to meet, yeah, but this is what we call when the market is not enough. Nggak, pasarnya nggak ada. Nah, biasa kan kamu dengar kayak gitu kan, nggak ada pasarnya. Which is simple, there is no buyers, not enough buyers, or not enough sellers for this kind of performance, ya kan? And that's one of the reason why there is no market. Nanti kamu belajar di economics ini, when there is no existence of the market, then the government must intervene. Jadi kalau nggak ada pasar, government, pemerintah yang harus bikin atau mendrive supaya pasar itu ada, supaya ekonomi itu bergerak. Karena pembeli ini kan sebenarnya butuh juga untuk supaya barangnya terjual. Kalau nggak ada yang beli, repot. Makanya
salah satu diktum nanti yang akan kita pelajari. Kalau pasar itu nggak ada atau pasar itu nggak cukup, maka the governments or public must intervene in terms of like making sure that the market is actually exists. Okay, so market is very important. Any questions? Ada pertanyaan soal pasar ini? Pasar itu bisa macam-macam, kan? I know lah. Jadi, for example, dulu itu ada pasar kayak pasar narkoba, kan? Pasar, ya. The market is actually making the price, and it's actually what I learned as well about when I discussed this with my friends from the Barreskrim Police. Jadi kenapa misalnya, like, kenapa harga sabu-sabu sekarang itu lebih murah dari harga ganja? Why the price of sabu-sabu LSD is actually cheaper than the price of marijuana in the black market, obviously, yeah. And I just found out that because of there is basically two things. The heroin or the sabu-sabu, it's actually made from a chemical process, you know? While the marijuana is actually organic things. You have to bikin tumbuh-tumbuhannya, budidaya, ya. So it's an agricultural process in a sense. So it takes more times, and it's also more difficult because you require some lahan, and you require like sometimes before it can grow up. Usually about 3 months or 4 months before the ganja things is actually can have like this daunnya in the process. While for the chemical process of LSD and shabu-sabu, it actually can happen like in 1 day's process, even no longer than 1 day, 2 days, half a day process. Yeah. Second one is why the shabu-shabu is actually now is become more prevalent as well, cheaper than ganja and marijuana, is because of that. A lot of actually imported goods, yeah. Jadi the process, because it's too open, and there's a lot of imported goods, stuff from outside, produced outside Indonesia, come to and sell in the black market in the countries. Yeah? That's why, because of this, the price and the market for for these two different types of narcotics is actually different. But again, that's economic explanations of why sabu-sabu now is actually more cheaper than ganja, and more people's actually I don't know, people who actually ini jadi yang suka narkoba malah jadi pindah ke sabu-sabu bukan ke ganja. Tapi that's just for information. I mean, like that's how one of the way that economics actually explain phenomena. It's not necessarily about economics things, but that's the part of the explanations. It's by markets, buyers, and sellers. Okay, guys, any questions? Ada pertanyaan? Okay, no, that's good. So now let's go to the textbook. Some people, okay, this is the textbooks. McConnell, Bruce, Flynn. And this textbook is going to be used in your macroeconomic subjects as well. So it should be microeconomics, yeah? Not Mankey macroeconomics, but microeconomics. So it's the same. So this is going to be used in your microeconomics, and it's going to be used on macroeconomics as well, when which you're going to have, I think, in the second semesters, yeah? So I'm going to use the McConnell, Bruce, and Flint. 2000 should be 2017. So, yeah, sekarang yang edisi terbaru ada yang 2017. It's economic principle, problem, and policy. So basically, we're going to learn about the first half
of the course. And then the second part of the book, you're going to use it for the macroeconomic subjects. Okay, any questions or whatever with regard to this? Yeah, guys, apa aja yang mau ditanya silakan. I'm not gonna do all the talking. You do the talking too. Yeah. Anyone? Angelique, any questions? Yes, I cannot hear you, Sam. You still you're mute. Can you unmute yourself?
No.
No, at the stage. Okay, good. Anyone else? Any questions or whatever?
Oh, do we need to like purchase the books? The one that you give here?
Yes, it's recommended, but which one? The text or other resource, yeah?
Yeah, text and other resource.
Yeah, the other resource, I don't think you need it, yeah? Because it's all available in the library. And let me tell you now, yeah? Siapa cepat dia dapat. Best come, first dress, ya kan? So because this textbook, there's a lot of text. I think they have like 20 copy of it, yeah, in the library, in GWC library. But okay, this is the thing. You're gonna be competing with other how many? 30 times 4, so it's gonna be 120 students, and plus there's gonna be 150 students who wants to use this textbook, ya kan? Karena McConnell was for this coming semester. For example, we're going to have like the business in economics course, yeah, for all these marketing students and as well as the IB students. And they're going to use this textbook as well. Jadi sementara we have limited copy in the library. So yeah, first come, best dress. Jadi siapa yang datang duluan ke library, and you know how to use the library, right? Service, okay? By now you have to know. We serve the online ini ya. You can do the online borrowing as well as the reserve the book. If, for example, use your BINUS ID to reserve the book first, ya kan? Baru nanti, if you need it, you can come to the library and borrow the book from the library, ya kan? Jadi kalau saran saya, mulai sekarang kamu udah mulai reserve itu buku di BINUS Library. You know how to reserve the book ya? I don't have to explain it. Tahu kan caranya?
I think there's the video about it. So yes, I think we can search for it.
I'm sorry. Do you know how to do it?
Yes, there's the tutorial. It's fine.
Okay, you have the tutorial. Let me tell you now. So, I think just 1 second, yeah. Very basically, when you want to reserve a book, you go to the, everyone can see this, yeah? So library BINUS ACID. Okay, just log in with your IDs, yeah? And okay, right? So there you go. This is like the platform BINUS, and then you can borrow a book. Search your collections, yeah, and then you search your collections, and then you reserve. You can do the ini as well, yeah. You can search it ini, and then you do the reserve in this platform. Okay, jadi cari dulu, baru di reserve. You can basically call them as well, but when you call, basically they're gonna refer to the library as this platform of library as well. Jadi kalau saran saya, kalau kamu nggak mau beli bukunya, better that you reserve it by now. And let me tell you as well, they have a soft copy of it where you can ini kan, apa namanya, soft copy that you can read it online or print it to maximum of, I think 40 to 50 pages. Yeah, I don't know, but they have soft copy of the book as well. Jadi saran saya sekali lagi itu sama aja. Kamu buru-buru, jadi first come best dress. Kalau mau beli ya bisa beli, bisa santai-santai. Kalau ingin cuma pinjam, ya ke library kita dan reserve booknya, baik itu buat hard copy-nya atau soft copy-nya. Ya, Angelic, clear ya?
Yes, sir. Clear. Thank you.
Any other questions? It's good. So it's good we're having this, yeah. So you can go, I mean, like after this, go to the library website and then try to borrow the online.
Sorry, Pak.
Yes.
Halo Pak. Yep.
Yes. Any questions?
Pak.
Yes.
Halo Pak Iksan.
Yeah.
Yang kita pakai itu, yang kita bakal pakai teks dulu atau other resources teks dulu ya?
We're gonna use mainly the textbook, yeah. The
Textbook.
And itu ya. The book, the textbook. The main resource is gonna be the
Textbook.
the best resource that you're gonna, I think like the only resource from the book that we're gonna use. But you have to combine it as mentioned in here. Jadi sebentar. Okay, look at this. Yeah, it's gonna mentions about the chapters of the book, but at the same time, I'm gonna present you with what called as a lecture handout. Okay, then lecture handout for some of the materials. Yeah, for example, like the handout for ini. Let me tell you now. Some of the topics is not gonna be available in any of the textbooks. Jadi misalnya, the materials on the, I think the last two topics, yeah, about on that subject is gonna be very, very. I made it myself, so it's not gonna be available elsewhere, or and you have to basically use whatever materials that I provide on the. For example, jadi sebentar, saya kasih contoh. Nanti ini semua ada juga di awal ya, jadi kamu bisa akses. Okay, this is the type of example, for example, Jeremy, that is not available elsewhere. You can only find it from my slide, on my slide, or my handout. Yeah? This is the lecture 15, and it's about inequality and poverty, right? So it's not, because why? Because it's going to talk about like the, not only about the poverty and inequality in Indonesia, but I mean like the measurement and the income equality and poverty, but in general, but also going to look at specifically about Indonesian case. And this case is always changing every year, ya kan? Karena angka kemiskinan tahun 2020 pasti beda sama 2019. The impact of COVID, for example, is gonna hit hard. I mean, like some predictions says that there will be additional 16 million people in Indonesia will fall into poverty karena masalah pandemi ini, 16 juta orang belum miskin. So the number is gonna be keep changing, ya. So I have to revise basically again this ini, but hopefully that's gonna be answering your questions, ya. Jadi kamu pakai textbook yang itu aja, tapi untuk beberapa topik cukup kamu rujuk materi yang atau handout yang saya berikan. Jadi nggak perlu lain. Atau kalau kamu know better about the subject, you can browse to the reference that I usually put at the end of this slide. Jadi if you want to know more, there's a reference ya in this slide. Look, browse apa nih reference yang dipakai untuk materi ini. Itu biasanya merujuk kepada external link or some data that you can find somewhere else. Ya. Jadi for example, kayak tadi misalnya apa namanya yang saya kasih tadi kayak masalah poverty, inequality in Indonesia. Jadi most of the, not most, part of the materials is actually take it from the Oxfam report, ya. Jadi usually this is the
ada data, ada mereka punya yang namanya penerbitan setiap tahun yang selalu berubah dari Oxfam. This ya, this is data. Also there, Oxfam briefing papers. You can see it. The picture is actually the same. So basically, I've taken from this the materials of the inequality and poverty. So it's basically a briefing paper about the conditions of inequality and poverty in Indonesia as of the February 2007. But I bet they already have like a newest briefing, a newest report. So I have to update the handout according to the latest publications of issue that is happening out there. Ya. Jadi tapi itu saya harap menjawab pertanyaan kamu Jeremy. Jadi bukan resource-nya, cukup kamu lihat sama saya, sama textbook, the main textbook that we're gonna use. Ya.
Oke. Thank you, Pak.
Always. What else now? Okay, market. This is the market. Marketplace. Apa lagi? Textbook. Okay, we've already discussed this ya. Quiz, homework, mid exam, final exam. So 15%, 15%, ya. So this is about microeconomics. Jadi jangan sekali lagi lupa bikin Binus Maya Forum, guys. It's part of your 15% of your formative assessments. Okay? So homework or Binus Maya Forum is part of that. Yeah? And what else? Same. That's the thing about the course. Any other thing that you would like to know about the course ya? Tapi kalau enggak nanti saya teruskan ke materi. Tapi itu beberapa hal yang penting yang kamu perlu tahu tentang masalah course ini. Jadi detail course-nya itu ini kontak saya nanti kamu bisa dapat di sini. Basically it's the same Muhammad Mojo Binus Edu AU ya. And if there is no other questions,
Pak, may I ask something?
Yes, sure.
For the textbooks, is it all the latest editions?
Yes, it's recommended to use the latest editions. Because one, there might be additional topic that is covered. And there might be some mistake is actually change in the news editions, ya kan? Jadi tolong pakai yang yang edisi terbaru, karena memang slide saya pun nantinya akan disesuaikan dengan edisi yang terbaru yang ada.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other? Okay. Kalau nggak ada, ini biasanya bagus juga ada sesi kayak gini. Ini biasanya kalau di awal, yang paling penting itu, yang saya rasakan dari udah hampir mengajar 2-3 tahun ini belakangan, economics, yang selalu saya dapati ya, itu kesulitannya mahasiswa ketika berhadapan dengan ilmu ekonomi ini, adalah untuk menerjemahkan visualisasi dari gambar atau graf yang biasa digunakan dalam ilmu ekonomi. It's very frequently happen to me, and many of you actually come from ini kan IPS kan, social background kan, atau not IPA ya kan, and even though I think what I'm gonna give lo in introduction here is basically given in the matematika dasar kayak di year 10 or year 11 maths basically is cover everything, but I just find somehow like many students get some difficulty in understanding about this. So that's why for the first session, usually when I teach the subject in any economic subject, basic business economics or microeconomics, I will teach them about how to read a graph. Yeah, right? So a visual, because why? Because in microeconomics, you're gonna find a lot of graph, yeah? And it's better basically to explain to graph. And if you don't understand about the graph, then you're gonna get lost ya. Jadi kalau nggak bisa baca gambar dari yang diberikan, like demand supply graph or everything, you're gonna get lost. You don't know, I mean, like about many things or the points that basically we try to deliver when when I teach in the class about one particular subjects. I think from all the week, every week you're gonna encounter up until the last topic about the inequality and poverty. There will be graph as well, and if you already understand the meaning of the graph and how to read it, then it's gonna be easy for you to decipher, to understand. It's about what basically the point that I tried to cover for the subject. Okay? So let's start with this graph. So basically, graph and their meanings. Graph is basically a visual representations of the relations between two variables. Jadi we're not in the three-dimensional graph, yeah. It usually is only two-dimensional graph. And we can have like, at most, we could have only 3 variables. But for this course, we only focus on 2 variables. Jadi hanya 2 hal atau variabel lah ya, yang biasanya direpresentasikan dalam satu graph. Dan dalam graph, we have what we call as the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. We have independent variable and we have dependent variable. We're going to discuss it in turns, yeah? But for the first thing that you have to understand is that the graph is a visual representations of a relation. Jadi ada 2 hal yang penting. Yang pertama adalah visual representation and the second one is a relation. Jadi graph is always going to show you how, for example, one variable, because there's 2 variables, related to the other variable or another variables. Jadi gimana hubungan antara X dengan Y, atau kalau misalnya variabelnya variable A and B, how is the relationship between A and B? You may say the relation by X saja. But basically, the relations can come like for whether it's actually negative or positive relationship. We will see later on. Yeah. So one thing that you have to note is that is a relationship basically a graph is basically a visual representation of the relationship between 2 variables. So, what kind of relationship we can have? We can have what we call as a direct relationship. Or in other words, where the both variable move in the same directions. Okay? The direct relationship, or what we can call as well as the basically positive relationship. Kalau direct relationship, ini positive relationship. Jadi both variable move in the same direction. So for example, if A increase, ya kan? Ini kan usually 0 ya. Ini sumbu ini biasanya 0, 0, not. If A increase or X or Y increase, then X is going to increase as well. So move in the same direction. Yang satu positif, yang satunya juga positif. Yang satu naik, yang satu juga naik. So what kind of other relationship? Okay, but we can also have what we call as the inverse relationship. Okay. Jadi ini kan direct relationship. But we can also have an inverse relationship. What's going to be the inverse relationship is the other way around. The inverse relationship is things we usually use like this. You know, right? This is what is an inverse relationship. For example, when y or this variable increase, you know, right? In the inverse relationship, what we see basically is the other way around. So jadi ketika y-nya increase, and then the x is gonna be decrease. Jadi justru ininya turun. Jadi panahnya berbalik arah. Yang satu positif, yang satu pertumbuhannya negatif. So in the inverse relationship, the two variables move not in the same directions, in different directions. So that's about relationship. How to construct a graph. Okay, ini sorry. Happened to me as well. Kenapa nih? Saya kadang-kadang suka salah stop share sama annotation. It's always been creating me headache. But okay, so how to create a graph? So it's just simple. Jadi sekali lagi, is a representations of relationship between two variables. Kalau kamu dilihat di sini, okay, this is a table, and this is a graph. Kalau di table ini kira-kira variabelnya apa aja? Jeremy, what are the two variables that you see in these tables?
The dollar.
Huh?
Dollar value.
Bukan. Variabelnya apa di sini? What's gonna be in the row? In each column is represent. We have like 3 columns here, ya. Income, and point, ya. Tapi kalau to separate, point is basically a representation of relationship between income sama consumption. So the two variable here is gonna be income and consumption, or we can say that this is the X and this is the Y, or the other way around. Tapi kalau kamu lihat tabel seperti ini langsung kamu bisa disini, oh ini variabelnya pasti income, yang satu lagi consumption. Must be income, must be consumption. It's just a matter of where you're gonna put the income and you're gonna put the consumptions. And it's basically up to you, ya. Jadi you can put like the income, for example, in the vertical axis. Ini kita bilang sumbu itu axis, ya. Ini juga, jadi it's not the same like war, ya. Like the axis of evil, right? 2002. And this is the horizontal axis. So you can put the consumption in the horizontal axis. Jadi tapi intinya both are basically the same, and you can switch it around. For example, instead of put income, the variable income in your vertical axis, you can put it in the horizontal axis. Yeah. Jadi it's basically ini, ya. There is no strict or rigid regulations where you have to put like the variables in the income in the horizontal or verticals. But there's a one what we say is a apa ya? What we call apa ya bahasa Inggrisnya? The normality atau di standard in economics, ya. Jadi what we call kebiasaan di dalam ekonomi itu, di dalam semua ilmu ekonomi itu biasanya, ya, satu hal ini penting. Kalau dalam matematika bebas, kamu mau taruh variabel X di sini atau di vertikal atau di horizontal sama aja. Tapi kalau dia dalam ekonomi, satu hal yang pasti, ya, yang biasa, bukan pasti tapi kebiasaan atau itu jadi apa ya? Pakem atau apa ya, yang biasa dilakukan di ekonomi itu pasti, ya, itu adalah menaruh variabel price di vertical. So anything which has like price as di belakangnya is gonna be on the vertical axis. Anything and quantity usually happen on the horizontal. It can be the relationship between price and quantity, or price with something else. Yeah, and quantity usually on the horizontal axis. Okay. Jadi ini cuma kebiasaan aja, tapi bukan apa namanya guarantee that every time that you're gonna encounter that the price should be on the vertical axis. But for every other thing, it's actually up to you. Ya, terserah kamu, kalau disuruh gambar, kamu mau taruhnya di mana, itu kamu bisa taruh di mana aja. But now look at this. Let's go back to this, ya. Jadi ini tadi mana? This is the table. You have the income. That's your consumption.
And then you have like what's going to be the income at one and at certain point, like for example, at point A, you're going to have like income of 0 and consumption of 50. Jadi ini melihatnya sama juga. Ini kalau constructions of a graph, okay, look at this. So this is the income, this is the variable, yeah. And it appears, yeah, for me, look at this. Jadi kalau di sini, ini yang namanya variable income-nya is a y variables, basically on the horizontal axis, and the consumption is on the vertical axis. You see yang di vertical, yang income, yang di horizontal. And if you look at this, yeah, one thing is very noticeable. The point here is basically represented the interactions between the income and consumption, and it shows you how to basically graph or put the graph in the correct directions. Jadi, for example, at point A, point A ini kan, itu income is 0, but you have consumption of 50. Okay, ini basically representing ini kan. Apa namanya, consumption function, which makes sense. Kamu harus tetap makan atau mengkonsumsi sesuatu walaupun kamu nggak punya pendapatan, ya kan? Jadi, even though your income is 0, it still shows about 50. It shows this, yeah? And it all makes sense. That's why, and but when your income is 100, yeah. When your income is basically 100, your consumption is going to be 100 as well. When your income is 200, your consumption is 150. Nah ini, kan ini ada relasinya kan? Ini kan relasi. Jadi hubungan antara income sama consumption. When your income is 0, your consumption is 50. When your income is 100, your consumption is 100. So when your income is 200, your consumption is 150. And basically, from these two relations, you can put a certain point in the graph. Gambarnya gimana? Ya gampang aja. And you see, remember that this is representing a consumptions, and this is representing income. So when your income is 0, yeah, kalau income was 0, yes, where your income is 0, so you know, like this point A, income is 0 kan, jadi income-nya 0. At the same time, consumption is 50. Jadi 50 here. This is basically 50. So this point A is gonna be 0 and 50. Same thing here for point B. You have your income is 100 and your consumption is 100. Okay. And so on, yeah. Ini point B, ini point C, when your income is 200, your consumption is 150. And the point D, when your income is 300, and your consumption is 200. Jadi ini kan sama kan, 300, 200. And when your income 400, and your consumption is 250. So when you draw all the point here, yeah, you got the point A, B, C, D, E. You're gonna get a full set of graph, ya kan? Ada graph ini, nah yang biru ini graphnya, okay? So straightforward, you're gonna get the graph. So now my question is this representing a direct or inverse relationship? Ini hubungannya gimana? Direct atau inverse? Positive relationship or negative relationship?
Direct.
Direct.
Yeah.
Good, very good, ya. Jadi ini direct relationship. So when income increase, consumptions also increase. And this is basically the law of supply curve, but the income of consumption. Yeah? Jadi, and we can learn, we're gonna teach a lot more about this income consumption function. Yeah? Jadi basically, you notice here, yeah? The increase in income is not the same as the increase in consumptions. Look at this. Jadi kalau income-nya naik 100, yes? The consumptions only increased by 50. Similar things here, when the income increased by 100, the consumption increased only 50. Jadi ini even though the relationship is actually a direct relationship, but they basically not proportional. What we say, the increase in income is not in the same proportions of the increase in consumption. But we're going to discuss that later. Now we focus on the graph. One tips that I always give to students, ya kan, when you want to construct a graph, ya. Okay, good. When you want to construct a graph, yeah, you don't need 4 or 5 point. Jadi sebenarnya nggak perlu poin itu banyak-banyak, ya kan? Tadi kan kita bikin yang namanya 4 poin kan? But basically, if it's a linear, jadi linear itu lurus, tegak lurus, graph, we don't basically need many points. We only need how many, do you think? When you want to draw a linear graph. Kalau kita mau gambar linear graph seperti ini, berapa poin yang kita butuh? We don't need like as much as 4 or 5. Yeah? So,
At least 2.
Good, very good, Jonathan, Angelique. Ya. At least 2. Kita cuma butuh 2 poin aja sebenarnya cukup. Ya, jadi kan look at this ya. Jadi kalau kita punya misalnya, say we don't have this ini kan, kita cuma punya titik C sama titik D. Jadi we only have like C and D. 250, we only have this and this. If it's straight line, if it's linear, then we can draw a graph. Simple, straightforward. Maaf kalau gambarnya agak jelek. Tapi my point is that when you have like, when you want to draw a linear graph, basically all you need is 2 points, either C or D, A or E, or whatever. Ya kan? So you don't need as many as of all of this graph. So why is that the case? Kenapa kalau dalam linear itu kita cuma butuh 2 poin? Anyone knows? Why one need? Yeah?
Naiknya sama terus ya.
Good. That's very good. That's basically the answer. The naiknya sama terus, or in mathematical terms we say that the slope is the same. Jadi slope itu kemiringan. Ya, kemiringan. Dan ini kan slope-nya sama kan? And how to measure the slope is basically simple, ya kan? 200 per 300, 150 per 200. Jadi slope, atau nanti kita belajar lebih detail masalah itu ya, nggak khususnya sekarang. Tapi kenapa for a linear graph is always we only need 2 points, because the slope is gonna be the same, yeah, regardless. So when you know 2 points, you already know the slope, ya kan? How the change of each one and of each of the variable, and it's gonna be, and you know that is because it's a linear. This slope or this rate of change is gonna be the same throughout. So why bother to have like more than 2 points? Yeah, if you know that this is gonna be linear, and the slope and the change, the slope or the rate of change is gonna be the same throughout. Yeah, very good answer, bagus. Jadi itu next. Okay, it's clear yeah about this. Now let's next constructions of a graph. Okay, ini inverse we already discussed this. Okay, 1 second. I just need to. Okay, so inverse relationship is the other way around, yeah, basically. So when you have one variable move one way and the other variable move the other way, and this is an example of the variable that have like a inverse and an inverse or indirect relationship, all right? And this is the relationship between ticket price and attendance, which is again makes sense. When the ticket price is 50 too expensive, nobody's gonna attend the concert, yeah. But when you lower it, yeah. So I don't know, this is a concert, something else, but basically, when you lower the ticket price, then the attendance is gonna be increased by 4 persons or 4 people attending this concert, yeah. Similarly, but when you lower the price again from 40 to 30, you're gonna get 8 people actually attend this show or concert. Similarly,
And one thing that you notice as well, and you can tell, yeah, whether this is basically a linear or non-linear graph by looking at this. Ya kan? Jadi the rate of change, again, slope or things, and you basically can tell whether this is a linear or not if the rate of change are the same for both variable, ya. Jangan lupa, bukan cuma satu. Jadi you can see, ya, this is the change is 4. And this is the change is 4 as well. And this is the change is 4. But you cannot only look at one variable, look at the same, because the slope is basically ini kan, delta y divided by delta x. That's the slope, yeah? Or delta x, sorry, it's delta x divided by delta y. Change in x divided by change in y. So, jadi kalau melihat apakah ini grafiknya linear atau enggak, change in x divided by change in y. It's very straightforward. When you see like the rate of change is 4, and then this is ticket price changed by 10, and this is changed by 10 as well, and the attendance is changed by 4. Oh, you know, okay, this is going to be a linear graph. Why? Because their slope, the rate of change is going to be the same, yeah, kan? Throughout. This is the same as well. This is going to be 10, 10, and 4, and this is 4, and this is 10. So this is going to be a linear graph, straightforward. You only need 2 points then, yes? And you know how to graph it. So again, I'm going to just walk you through the how to graph it. Basically, you only need 2 points, yeah, kan? You only need, for example, in this case, you only need 40 and 4, yeah? 40 of ticket price and 4 of the attendance. So you're going to get the point B. And the next point, perhaps you only need like point E. So 10 and 16. But when the price is too low, as much as 10, then the number of people attend these shows or concert is going to be 15. You're going to get the point E. So when you connect the B and E, yeah, you're going to get the whole graph. Okay. One thing is actually interesting as well, as mentioned before, ya, tadi saya udah bilang, we usually put anything with the suffix price at the vertical axis. Jadi biasanya memang nggak tahu ini kebiasaan atau udah kayak sesuatu yang dianggap normal ya. Di ekonomi kalau ada sesuatu yang price ya, anything with the suffix price, you're gonna put it in the vertical axis as you can see here ya. So ticket price is gonna be in the vertical axis and attendance in the horizontal axis. Okay, any questions? Ada pertanyaan? Simple, straightforward. So when you look at the graph ya, jangan bingung-bingung lagi. Oh ini grafnya maksudnya. Jadi kalau kamu udah ngelihat graf yang kayak gini misalnya ya, kamu udah langsung tahu, wah ini pasti hubungannya negatif. Kalau sesuatu naik, sesuatu yang lainnya pasti turun. Tapi kalau kamu ngeliat grafnya kayak gini, nah kamu udah tahu nih. Ini pasti hubungannya positif. There's a direct relationship between the two variables. Yeah, when one increase and the other increase. Okay. Now the relationship between price and quantity demand. What do you think the relationship is going to be? It's going to be direct or inverse?
Inverse.
Inverse.
Inverse. Very good again, Jeremy. Yeah. See. Pasti inverse, yeah, because when the price increase, then the quantity demand is going to be decreased, and the other way around. Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. Then the other way around, when the number of quantity increase, it must that the ticket price or the price is going to be decreased. Yeah. So what you and that's basically the way that I'm going to explain about the demand law. Jadi nanti yang pertama di course ini subject ini one of the first beginning of the subject is going to be about the demand and supply law. Jadi hukum permintaan dan hukum penawaran. And the first law of demand is always going to be when the price increase, the quantity demanded decrease, and the other way around. When the price decrease, the quantity demanded is going to be increased. And it's just more straightforward and simple to explain it by graph. Ya kan? Kayak tadi, kalau saya gambar direct relationship, you always know, okay, this is not going to be a demand curve. But if I draw it as a inverse relationship graph like this, you already know, okay, so this is going to be the relationship is going to be negative or inverse, yeah? Jadi by explaining things by graph is actually much simpler and much more straightforward. Okay, so that's again why I always going to be emphasize the meaning and how you read a graph at the beginning of this course or any introductory economic course, yeah? Okay, now next. Okay, slope of the line. Slope and measurement unit, slope and marginal analysis, infinite and zero slope. Okay, this is what it is, slope, yeah, and vertical intercepts. 1 second. So slope is basically a vertical change, horizontal change. Jadi tadi udah kita already touch this a little bit, yeah. Basically, a slope is what we call as a kemiringan. Slope is the degree of gradient, basically, yeah, of the graph, yeah. So how do you calculate a slope? Jadi tadi kayak saya udah jelasin ya. It's basically the vertical change divided by the horizontal change. Always. So it's gonna be delta y divided by delta x. Delta y delta c divided by delta y. Remember, it's always not gonna be consistent. Y and x can switch around very often, and you have to be very careful about this. So that's why the definition is not delta x delta y, because it's gonna get you confused. But it gives you the definition as vertical change. Jadi pasti perubahan daripada sumbu vertikal, and divided by the horizontal change, divided by the change in the horizontal axis, yeah. So if you go back to this, so this is going to be the change in ticket price divided by change in number of attendance. Why? Because ticket price in the vertical axis and attendance in the horizontal axis. Then the slope is very important. Again, as we show when we draw the graph of the consumption functions. So let's see. When in this example of consumptions again, when you try to find the vertical change, yeah, the slope, you divided the vertical change, which is the difference between consumption at this point and consumption at this point. So the vertical change is 50 divided by the horizontal change. So we don't have the number here, but basically it's the same as when you try to do this. When you try to basically look at the difference, you calculate the slope by this, yeah. Jadi you calculate the slope. Second. Ini the point D, the change from point D to point C, ya kan? Change from D to C. So the consumption change, vertical change is 200 minus 150 in here, you know, 200 minus 250. So this is going to be 50. And the change from 300 to 200. This is the change from 300 to 200 is going to be 100. Okay? So this is the same. So it's going to give you the slope of 50 divided by 100. So which is going to be half, 0.5 or half. Yeah. Straightforward. Jadi itu cara kamu mencari yang namanya slope atau kemiringan daripada sebuah grafik. Okay, slope. So slope is going to be 100. Sorry, slope is going to be half, 0.5. Vertical change divided by horizontal change. Yeah, not delta y, delta x. Forget about that. We're going to get the delta y, delta x when we learn about the elasticity. But at this stage, to understand about the slope and the graph, you only have to understand that it's actually vertical divided by horizontal. But let me remind you, this this thing, when the slope only consistent or constant when you deal with a apa tadi? Slope cuma akan sama pada grafik yang linear, only the linear graph, ya kan? But for non-linear graph, we gonna have different slope at different point, ya kan? Why the slope is consistent for a for the apa namanya, the linear graph, but not for non-linear graph. Let me give an example in this. Ya. Jadi misalnya ini. Sorry, anyone else? Ada yang cek. Straight directions, good. Okay, kenapa? Jadi look at this. For example, ya, we have a non-linear graph. Jadi misalnya kita punya non-linear graph. Ini kan linear, lurus dia. Tapi kalau yang nggak lurus, misalnya ada kayak gini. Ya kan? Misalnya, ini katakan ada poin A-nya, ini poin B-nya. Sorry. That's not very good graph. Kalau misalnya ini, sorry, just a second. Kalau misalnya kita punya grafik seperti ini, yang nggak lurus ya. Okay, so we have, for example, this is point A, and this is going to be point, say, B, and this is point C. Yeah. And when you want to and this is basically show you why the slope of a non-linear curve is not going to be the same. Yeah, kan? Because when you try to compare, the slope at the point A and B, sama
Very fucking different.
point, it's a point B and C is going to be different. Ya kan? Ini kan misalnya ini katakan 200, ini ada the vertical is going to be, say, it's the same. Yeah? The difference is going to be 400 divided by 300, the vertical change. But what about the horizontal change? The horizontal change is going to be, for example, this is perhaps 80, yeah? 80 minus, sorry, ini 200 dikurang 180. Jadi 20. Bukan, it's not going to be, so sorry again. So this is perhaps like 200 minus 20, you know, or 200 minus 180. So the result is going to be 100 divided by 20. Okay, so jadi ini what basically I want to show that the slope, the gradient in here between A and B and C is not gonna be the same throughout if you have non-linear graph, ya. Jadi mohon maaf kalau gambarnya, tulisannya agak aneh. I'm still getting used to actually writing on the PPT slide. Kalau di papan tulis kan biasanya enak. But anyways, that's gonna be a problem next year. I'm gonna learn to do it more properly. And usually what I'm doing is actually, instead of using this, just getting used to using this Microsoft, I'll show you, whiteboard. Ya. Jadi ini gara-gara belajar blended mode ini kita jadi belajar yang lucu-lucu, yang aneh-aneh. Nah, ini misalnya
Biasanya saya pakai ini, ya, Microsoft Whiteboard ya. Jadi you will get, I mean, like in this course, I'm gonna use this as well, ya, the Microsoft Whiteboard when I try to explain things graphically or numerically, ya. Jadi itu nanti, tapi kita lanjutin beberapa menit lagi. Oh, we're almost there, yeah. We already ini basically, ya. Ini udah waktunya sebenarnya. Tapi let me wrap it up. We only have like 5 minutes more. Let me wrap it up about these introductions here. Just 1 second. Slope, okay. Positive slope of line, okay. And we need to know about this. Okay. Okay, this is negative slope line is the same. Yeah? Jadi we learned about the positive slope line. Slope is going to be the same for a linear but non-linear, and it will be the same between the whether it's positive or direct slope or indirect or negative slope. Ya, jadi ini contoh for a negative slope of a line, and you can see directly when it has like the shape like this, then it's basically an inverse relationship, and you can also calculate the slope. But what's going to be the difference between this and this? Between positive and the negative slope? Yeah, negatifnya. Yeah. When you have inverse relationship, yeah, then the slope is gonna be negative. Jadi bukan hanya bisa dilihat secara visual, gambarnya seperti ini, tapi juga kamu bisa ketahui the relationship between one variable and another variable by looking at the sign of the slope. Okay. Jadi anything with a slope of negative, you can always tell, okay, this is gonna be an inverse or negative relationship. Ya? Jadi bukan cuma kalau kamu nggak ada gambarnya, misalnya you don't see the number, ya, you don't see the graph, but you see the number, and then you can tell, okay, this is going to be an inverse relationship, whether or not you see the graph. The same case as well with the graph with positive slope. You will know, yeah, even though you only have a table. Jadi nanti banyak questions or problems that you can encounter that basically only give you a table, not the graph, or the other way around. And when you see the slope is basically positive, then you know, okay, this is going to be a direct relationship between two variables. In this case, it's consumption and income. So it's not going to be, you don't have to see the graph. You always can tell, okay, this is positive relationship. Why? Because the slope is positive. Okay? Similarly, when you say the slope is negative, then you can directly tell, okay, this is going to be a negative or inverse relationship between the two variables. Yeah? Jadi that's the very important thing about slope. Slope can tell you many things. Yeah? Slope of a line can tell you a lot of stuff, a lot of things. First is going to be whether the vertical are linear or not, and then the relationship is also going to be shown in the sign of the slope. Jadi slope itu penting. Okay. Now we have like the negative and the positive slope. But what if, it's always the questions. They answer the questions with questions. Satu pertanyaan, pasti muncul pertanyaan baru. Itu namanya belajar. Ya kan? Jadi kalau kamu belajar, kamu tahu sesuatu, kamu akan nanya lagi. Ya kan? Apa yang bilang? Jadi belajar itu sebenarnya kita bingung, tapi kita bingung pada tahap yang lebih tinggi gitu. Maybe still don't know the answer, but we confused at a higher level. But anyway, so now what happened with the slope? Sorry, what happened with the graph when the slope is 0? Anyone knows? Kalau slope-nya 0 gimana?
It's in the x-axis.
Sorry? Yes, Angelique, sorry. Say, I didn't hear it, so. Gimana? Yeah, no correlations. Good, Jonathan. But what? How do you gonna draw the graph? Bisa nggak? If a zero slope.
straight in the x-axis.
Good, very good, Angelique. Jadi straight in the again, straight in the x-axis, the horizontal axis. Jadi, okay. Thank you very much. Jadi kalau zero, dia akan mulai dari horizontal axis. Dari dari vertical axis. Sorry. So it will start slope 0 from a vertical axis. The slope is going to be 0. The rate of change is 0. So it's going to be start from the vertical axis. While when the slope is infinite itu kalau bahasa Indonesia nggak terduga ya. Kalau pakai sign daripada matematik, is using like this. Nah, sign kayak gini, itu biasanya yang tak terduga. When the slope is infinite is the other way around, this the graph will emanate from the horizontal axis. Jadi kalau kayak gini, ini nggak apa namanya? The slope is gonna be infinite, but when you have like this, the slope is gonna be 0. How you translate it? Yeah, basically, when the slope is 0, ya kan? When you're ini lucu juga nih. Kenapa dia taruh di force rate? Jadi kalau ada orang ini this is a bad example, but let me this consumption of a person is not going to be affected of whether he is a divorcee or not divorced, ya kan? Jadi kalau kamu cerai atau nggak cerai sama aja, kamu juga butuh makan, konsumsi kamu akan tetap. Ya kan, jadi ini dari tingkat divorce-nya itu tidak berhubungan sama sekali atau zero relationship ya with the consumptions, regardless of the number of people sexually divorced or in one city or whatever ya. The consumption is still going to be the same in that city, and which is makes sense ya kan. Kamu mau nggak peduli status perkawinanmu ya kan. Tingkat konsumsi akan tetap sama aja. It's not gonna really affect your rate of consumptions. But look at this. So no relation whatsoever, yeah? Consumption will change. Okay, thank you, Blessing. We're out of time, actually. So this is the first thing, yeah, the last year. So when we have the slope is infinite, it's the same. So slope infinite is the other way around. Kalau tadi kan kita bilang, kalau slope-nya 0, the change in one variable is not going to affect at all the degree of the rate of the other variables. But when we have an infinite slope, it's going to be the other way around. When you change the purchase of watch for just a little bit, yeah, just a little, it's gonna change the price of other goods. In this case, is banana dramatically. Jadi nggak terduga, tidak terhingga. Jadi change is gonna be infinite. So don't change it. Basically, the message. Yeah? So it's very sticky. It's gonna be very rigid, the price, because you cannot change because it's gonna have like very huge consequences on the other price. Okay, I stop there. Sorry about taking you longer than used to be. Okay, so I'm gonna stop, but we're gonna discuss more about this, yeah? So this is just, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is just only a teaser of what to come in economics. Hopefully that that you still have like the same passion as now, yeah? And I'm very looking forward to see you again in next week. Start next week, yeah. I don't know what's gonna be the day, but I'm gonna start seeing you. I think in the next week, even though it's still online, yeah. But let me tell you again, I'm always gonna be approachable. So if you have any problems or you wanna ask anything, just email or WhatsApp, yeah. Okay, even though I'm not gonna answer during the weekend or after 10 o'clock, but yeah, as long as you ask or anything with regards of the subject, obviously ya. Jadi kalau ada masalah, ada problem, ada pertanyaan, let me know. Okay, guys, any questions? Nggak ada?
Any?
Pak, are we gonna get the PPT?
Yes, you're gonna get PPT. Jadi wait,
Okay.
I think they're gonna still. Everything is gonna be in Binus Maya, ya. Jadi the PPT, the online, the resource, the course outline, whatever is gonna be in Binus Maya. Jadi the Binus Maya platform will change. I think they're gonna change it this week, ya. But basically, what time is it? Okay, we're running out of time. I can show. Ask ini your senior, ya. Basically ada siapa sih? Ada Melania, ada Madeline, ada siapa? Ada macam-macam, ada ada Arman juga. Kamu bisa tanya kepada mereka ya senior how to get like the material, the lecture outline, the lecture handout and the outline. Okay, so again, thank you guys, participants, and thank you very much. So I'm gonna end in here and give it to Blessing. Yeah, Blessing, you can perhaps explain to how to get like this lecture online in the Ibidus model. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Seixan, for the lecture. It was very good, I can see. So guys, for the materials in Binos, it's very easy to find all the...
Leave now, yeah, Blessing, yeah. Thank you, yeah. Semua, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Pak.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Pak.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I think Pi is gone. The remaining Pi is me. So guys, yeah, about the materials, later you see on your Binos Maya. Later when classes start, I'm very sure your teachers will all explain. But basically in Binos Maya, if you open your Binos Maya, right, on the options, you see there's an option for courses. So if you click on your courses, then you can choose your semester. And then if you click on course, there are many options there. Like you can see the shared materials, the resources. So usually the materials, they are already uploaded in resources or in shared materials. It's quite easy, not even that complicated. But what I did not understand is, were you asking for the materials during the semester, or you were asking for the PowerPoint that Ixan was using just now?
The PowerPoint that Ixan was using just now.
Oh, okay. I think you did not understand that one. But if you want the PowerPoint, I will chat him. And when I got the PowerPoint, I'll send to your FLs, and then they will distribute in your groups. Okay, so I think that's it for the day. Thank you, everyone. Once again, have a good rest. We are left with how many? 2 more days. Tomorrow, I think we only have 1 session, and then on Friday, 2 more sessions, if I'm not mistaken. We are almost there, guys. So, bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.